To help us understand the crisis better, we're joined in by a guest. We're joined in by Mr. Ravi Joshi. He's visiting fellow Observer Research Foundation. Thank you so much, Mr. Joshi, for joining us on DD India News Hour this afternoon. What do you make of this fresh escalation between US and Iran, with the Iranian president saying that Iran is now fighting a full-scale war with the US?
Yes, the recent trigger for the war, for the US attacks on war, came because of the Iranian strike on certain US installations in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan. Particularly, the Jordan one was the last one, which hit near the Aqaba port in Jordan, which is really way far beyond Iran's reach. It's almost close to Israel, the Aqaba port. It's just across the Red Sea, Israel begins. Anyway, now what I'm trying to say is 3 US soldiers were killed on July 18th. So in retaliation to this, America has carried out massive airstrikes on Iranian targets for 10 consecutive nights. And now, well, the importance of the present war or escalation lies in the fact that America is now hitting at Iranian civilian infrastructure. Though it is saying that we are targeting the missiles, air defense fields, drone manufacturing facility, etc., but they have hit water desalination plants, they have hit bridges, and they have hit civilian infrastructure and also power infrastructure to completely decapitate Iran's civilian infrastructure within the country. So this now, in retaliation to this, Iran has been attacking Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan, which are American allies, and Iran is saying that we are only attacking the US installations in your country. But the attacks actually are hitting the civilian infrastructure in Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan. And on the other hand, as you rightly pointed out, Houthis have started an attack on the Saudi Arabian oil supply pipelines. Especially they're seeing that the Saudis are unable to pass oil through the east-west line, which will go to Yanbu port on the Red Sea. From where it has to reach the Asian customers, it has to come through the Bab al-Mandeb. The Bab al-Mandeb is a very critical choke point, which the Houthis are practically in control, in the sense they are attacking the Saudi ships. So this war is now extending on various fronts. Initially, it was Israel, US, a combined attack on Iran, Israel attacking on Lebanon, and Iranian control over the Hormuz, which both America controlled and Iran controlled parts of Hormuz. And then now Saudi Arabia and Houthi war. So the war is actually escalating in very unpredictable ways. This is a very difficult situation.
Right. What is the fallout of this escalation for the world economy? We've seen how oil prices have soared in the past few days after this escalation, but at the same time, with the Houthis' threat against Saudi Arabia and the escalation between US and Iran, what would be the immediate fallout for the global economy, the supply chains as well?
Yeah. You see, after the July 17th Birkenstock agreement in Switzerland between American negotiator and the Iranian negotiator, they agreed upon a 60-day ceasefire, during which they will sort out the Iranian nuclear issue, Iranian missile issue, and Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz. These 3 major issues were to be sorted out within the 60-day period. But nobody is giving that 60-day truce. Nobody is following that truce. That's the whole problem, Now, actually, here I want to highlight one thing. There's a major power struggle going on in Iran between the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, and the civilian leadership. You must remember that when Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed by that Israeli attack on his palace, immediately the IRGC managed to nominate his son, Mustafa Khamenei. Mustafa Khamenei is a complete puppet in the hands of IRGC. With this, now the leadership in Iraq is shifting from the clerical regime to a military regime. No, which is not liked by the civilian leadership controlled by President Pezeshkian, Speaker Khalibaf, and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. These leaders want the leadership to remain in civilian hands, and they can pursue diplomacy and negotiated route to sort out the matter with Israel and Iran, US. But this is not to the liking of Mustafa Khamenei. In fact, on the day of Ali Khamenei's burial, Mustafa Khamenei announced clearly that we must retaliate on the killing of our leader with the killing of American leader. He issued an open threat to assassinate President Trump. And it was after that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard started attacking the ships in the Strait of Hormuz. You must remember, though they have threatened President Trump and all that, they are not attacking the American assets in the region. They are attacking the American allies in the region. That is the Gulf states. This is a very clear strategy on their part to divide the loyalty of the Gulf states to America. So that the Gulf states can tell America, please stop the war. We can't take this anymore. We don't want Iran to go on attacking our civilian infrastructure. So that's how Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan are being targeted, so that they will tell President Trump, for God's sake, stop this war. And that is the Iranian strategy. Now, talking about the global impact, already the oil prices, which had come down to $80 to a barrel after the Birkenstock negotiated peace deal, the prices have again shot up to $100. They will soon reach $120, back to the time when, like in the month of May and June. So if that happens, again, there will be crisis. Even India will be affected. Indian oil containers and LPG containers will not be able to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. So our own economy will suffer. Similarly, the economies of China, Japan, and Korea, which are dependent upon this particular route for their supply of oil and LPG, they will also suffer. So this, as you rightly said, the global impact will be quite serious. And it will really, the escalation of the war is really bad for the global economy. There's absolutely no doubt.
But sir, would you say that diplomacy or mediation still has a chance in this crisis, or this military confrontation or the crisis has reached a point where de-escalation is very difficult?
I am seeing some positive trends towards peace negotiation, because Iranian Home Minister visited Islamabad yesterday or day before he was there. And Iranian Home Minister is not actually a party to the negotiating team. The negotiating team from Iran consists of the Foreign Minister and the Speaker. But it's a very important sign. He met, General Asif Munir and Shahbaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan. So the peace, the mediation efforts are not completely dead. Even American president, when he talks about bombing Iran many times over and destroying the Iranian economy and all that, he's still saying that he's open to talks. So I don't see a complete closure of the window of opportunity here. So there is a possibility that, but how that means, if the talks are to succeed, the civilian power struggle has to succeed in Iran. They have to come over on top, on the IRGC.
Right.
So that is the most important point. Yeah.
All right, sir. We leave it here. Thank you so much for joining us with your inputs and insights on the current situation between US and Iran, and joining us on DD India News Hour.